All right, Mr. Sean Duke.
Oh, goody.
Welcome to Small Towns Unscripted. The unscripted part's, fair.
The best part.
Best part for us, only way I can do this damn show. Darn show, sorry. Here we go.
Been waiting for you, honey buns.
Nicole
Been waiting
Turner.
for you.
Tara Kalin. My name's Russ McClellan. Yeah, this is a good time. Sean, we've known each other a long time.
Yes, we have.
Do you remember when?
I don't know. It's been a long time.
So you graduated in 87 too, right?
Correct.
Yeah. But you were one of those Chelan goat guys.
I was one of the goat guys. You guys were the little bay on the village on the bay.
Village on the bay. Well, appreciate you being here. Have you watched any of these episodes? I think you said you watched Jim's. Did you see?
Yeah, I watched some of them. I haven't finished. Some of them are pretty long. Just some great people. I mean, Carol Oles, she's a icon. She's a legend. She's like a mom. I used to spend many nights, staying up at Oles.
Yeah, because Greg's in our grade too.
Yep.
Yeah. Or otherwise known as Pee Wee.
Yeah, and then Jim Beeson going. I always remember going to the state tournament every year and watching him play, and just him and Greg Talley and them. So
yeah, we had we often talk about the childhood we had, and it's always fun to ask people from all ages, the changes that have occurred or what did they do when they were younger, and it's been some fascinating stories, and a lot of things have changed, but a lot of things stay the same, as far as the sports are still sports, but it was different. I mean, it's like the rivalries I talk about a lot, where those rivalries were so powerful from all these schools, and there was some more stability in the farming game, so all these little communities kind of had their own generational, you got the dad or the grandpa in the stands that played against each other, so it was a big part of our life growing up, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. We had your class and our class. It just seemed like we had some good battles in baseball, football, basketball. I think I sent you a text on this because I remember I was pretty decent at defense. I wasn't that great at offense, but I always had to guard you. And the one thing every time I see you or I think about it, I always think about that top of the key, Monty Sackett setting a screen for me and hitting a wall every time.
He's a big boy at that.
Oh, every time. And I still laugh to this day because I remember coming around and he'd be right there and he'd just lay me on the ground and you'd run around and shoot on the other side of him. And I don't know, those times were fun.
That's Chip. Yeah, Chip's doing good.
I remember dragging you into a Brewster Heights packing tournament. One year.
The sacrificial lamb team.
Oh, yeah. We had
against all the pro players.
Yeah.
They always had one sacrificial lamb team that was local, so they'd get people to come to the games.
Yeah.
And then they'd bring in like David Robinson.
And then you get slaughtered.
So they had a couple professional basketball players playing that tournament prior, David Robinson, Craig Elo and stuff. And we had a kid that was like 6'11" that asked me to play. And I said, why you guys, I go, we're going to draw Brewster Heights packing team first game. And he goes, well, what do you mean? I go, it's their tournament. We're the weakest team. They're going to draw us. I go, doesn't matter. And so I got Rusty, and he got Casey Gold, we got some other players. And I still remember that game was just something that it was just crazy because I just remember when it started, they were up. I'll never forget. It was like 19-3. Somebody called the timeout, and I turn around and I go, who the heck am I guarding? And somebody goes, that's Dion Brown. And I go, Dion Brown, the Huskies? And they go, yeah, he started 4 years for the Huskies. And I went, okay, that makes me feel better. They alley-oop and they go up over my head and dunk it. And right after our game got done, and we set some record for the most points. I mean, they scored like 147 or something. And we were like one.
Was this the game that we were?
20.
There was a Canadian. There was a game that we played. I don't know if it was BHP or not, but they had a Canadian Olympian that started point guard on the Olympic team. And we were close at like halftime. And the one team I remember that we were close at halftime because we were just bombing threes, and they were kind of dogging it. And then they got frustrated at halftime, and I think they scored. They got mad. And I think they scored 100 in the second half.
Yeah, I don't know if it was that one. I know their starting center was Army because I remember talking to him. He was a starting center for the Army basketball team, and I was talking to him, and they said they used to get paid a certain amount to go to all these tournaments and everything, and I was just laughing about it because. The guy that got us to play just didn't believe that we're going to draw them first round, and we did. And yeah, that was just crazy.
And I think we held our own for a while.
And then after the game, I remember some kids talking about, oh, we missed a slam dunk contest before our game, And I'll never forget telling him, I go, you should have watched our game because it was a lot better than the slam dunk contest.
Yeah, we got
they were
dunked
doing
on.
alley-oop dunks, and it was ridiculous.
Should never make a professional team angry when you're not a professional team.
Yeah, that was a crazy tournament though. Good times though, and then Gabbers and just all the people up in Brewster that we all knew from all the years past, playing in different tournaments, men's league and men's league and everything else.
It was big. I mean, I think the other part of it was fun is we did play each other a lot. And back then, I don't know if they do that now as much, but we played 3 times. And I think it was a money thing because it was so packed. Remember the little gym, I tell the story, they ran the coax cable outside and they had a series of TVs in the wintertime and everybody's out there smoking, watching the game because the little gym was so packed. I'm like, they must have made a lot of money on ticket sales. Like, let's have another Manson-Chelan game. Let's have another Manson-Chelan.
Okay, so we're
big
too
rivalries.
casual because we know and love you, but nitty gritty.
Oh, geez, here we go.
Let's talk about, let's just like lay the groundwork like we
Okay.
normally do. Like, where'd your family come from? How'd you get here? Give us a little historical.
So, mom and
depth.
dad were both born in Okanagan. Dad went to school in Okanagan. Mom went to school in Omak. And then they hooked up and they moved. At one point, they were in San Francisco. Because Dad was at Presidio in the Army. And then they went to, and I'll probably miss a spot here. I know they were in Klickitat because he was at the fish hatchery at Klickitat, and then he ended up getting a job at the Chelan Fish Hatchery, and that's what brought him here. He wanted to come back to the area. So, and then Chelan Fish Hatchery, and then to Wells Fish Hatchery.
Oh.
And then Mom got hired on with the Forest Service, and she was with the Forest Service a long time.
So when I met you, you were living next to Gavin's. Is that where?
Yep, and that's where I was raised in that house.
Okay,
yep.
that's what I thought.
Born and raised in Chelan. I was the only one out of the 4 of us that were born in Chelan.
You're the baby.
Yep.
Yeah, you can tell.
Thanks, appreciate it. And here we go.
So who were Dave? That's your brother Dave, right?
Dave, Tammy, Connie, and myself, yeah.
But you're the only one raised in Chelan?
No,
Born.
we were all raised. It's just I was the only one born in Chelan.
I got you.
So,
I got you.
yeah. Anyways. Yep. So.
Now, what stopped you from becoming a professional jet skier?
Here we go.
You and Dave Bennett, right? Wasn't Bennett?
Yeah.
You guys are crazy.
That's funny. Yeah, we got kind of crazy on those things. It was a lot of fun.
Kind of.
It was a lot of fun. We did, I know Craig Monette and we got paid to do some tricks up at the hydroplane races in Pateros one year. Mm-hmm. And we got yelled at because we were trying to jump up over those big buoys and bouncing off the buoys.
Submarine, there's the old jet skis for
Oh,
people.
yeah.
That people don't know what that is. They were much different than the ones now.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, those stand-up things were wild.
Yeah, because, yeah.
We were just in Lake Chelan and they still had the races of the old school.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're still doing it.
And those things are they're so fast. Now watching those guys that can do flips off of, just flat water and not actually off of a wake and do a flip.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So, pretty crazy.
When did you get into that growing up? Were you just kind of hanging out jet skis ahoy or something?
I worked on the jet ski docks for like 5 years. Growing up in Chelan, that's the one thing that I tell my kids that I wish they could have really grown up in Chelan because it's a big difference. And I was just talking to my sister about it too. Is a lot of towns like Chelan's rival Cashmere, where I'm at now, there's not a lot of jobs for kids, and I don't think people realize that. And in Chelan, you could work at, I worked at jet ski places. I worked in orchards, the water slides, parks department.
There's a ton of
I
kid
did
jobs.
some landscaping stuff.
Golf course.
I worked at the golf course, and so Cashmere's there's not a lot, and so you can, I don't know, in Chelan it's like I feel like you can, you get a good work ethic working at a fun job, and in Cashmere as a parent, when they become of age and they have to get on the highway to drive, they got to go to Wenatchee or Leavenworth to pretty much get a job, and it's kind of scary being a parent when they don't have any driving experience. And you're like, because there's not very many places in Cashmere to work.
Don't you also feel like a tourist town has kind of a fun subculture of kids working? Like, it's its own little bubble of summertime employment, because there's kids that live in these towns.
Right.
There's kids that come from other towns. There's kids that come live with their grandparents for the summer.
Oh, yeah.
There's college kids that roll in and stay at their folks' summer place to get a summer job. And so you end up, like, I remember just feeling like the summer work club of people was fun.
Oh, yeah.
There were people that you just, when it was your era,
Yeah, we
to be
had
working.
kids from Brewster, Okanagan. We had kids from Wenatchee, of course, Mansfield,
Yes.
Waterville. Everybody working at the slides, different places,
Yeah.
and you got to know all those small towns, not just playing them in sports or whatever, but get to know them.
And then you kind of reunited with this crew every summer. You know, people would kind of age out, and new ones would age in, and I don't know. I enjoyed it.
How old are your kids now, Sean?
My daughter is 25. I got a son that's 21. Another one's 18.
Just out of the house. We're just out of the school system. You're almost an empty nester.
Yep.
How you feel about that?
It's different. My 21-year-old actually just moved in right now. Moved back in for a little while just because he's going through the HVAC program at Wenatchee Valley College. So he
cool.
just did it for the first year. I was trying to find him, for all you HVAC people out there, I was trying to find him a summer job because that's what he wanted to do. And he sent out a lot of applications. He couldn't. I think they were looking for second-year students and not somebody. They don't want to really train anybody.
Well, that's a big difference between how the money side of it, the economics of trying to make it here now with as much gentrification as we've had and so much more money moving in. Those housing opportunities are slim. So the idea, I mean, it's normal now and required often to share housing with, stay longer, do whatever you got to do to get a house.
Yeah.
I mean, do it. Literally, I tell people a lot in the real estate and the development side, one of the downsides, there's a lot of them, but one of the downsides of nobody being able to afford rent, nobody being able to afford with the local income levels, is companies often will end up hiring somebody not based on their skill set, like a teacher.
Right.
They hire whoever has a connection to a house. Because if you hire a teacher from out of town and they're like, oh, by the way, the average home price is $550, and you're 20-something years old starting out, that's kind of a little out of the reach of. So it's, I know of lots of people that have turned down opportunities here just because of the housing. So it's cool that there's an opportunity there for you to help. And while your son, I mean, to me, as a dad, that's a good thing. I mean, that's a cool thing. Maybe not when they're 42, but 21, perfectly okay, you know.
Yeah, daughters. She's in. She works for Lamb Weston, so she graduated from WSU with a food science degree. So she's doing that. Played softball and wrestled at college.
Wrestle.
Whoa.
Yeah, so
Nice.
she was quite the little stud. So so she's doing that now. So proud of her. So it's tough for these kids, though.
Nobody followed Dad's footsteps in the Marine Corps?
Accidentally.
I don't think, you know what, funny thing, and like your kid, I know your kid being in it, but it's like, I don't know, I think I'd tell him to go in like the Air Force.
Mm-hmm.
I go, you want to live the best? These are the bases you want to be on.
Right. Now, he
You
got
know.
lucky. He just got
Yeah.
lucky. You know, when he was in third grade, he had this thing that said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And his mom brought it out one day after he joined up, but it said, you know, most kids were doctor, football player, whatever, right? He was Marine, top three choices.
Oh, really?
In the third grade. I think it had something. I asked him when he was on the podcast where that came from. Because I couldn't really remember, but he spent a lot of time with my dad. My dad was pretty disciplined, pretty, you know, quiet, strong, and I think he got drafted into Korea. So I think that my son just had this. He played a lot of Call of Duty, I think. So he had this like Force Recon sniper, you know, and ended up being in the aviation side. So he got lucky, but he had a lot of fun in it.
Yeah.
He enjoyed it. It was a surprise to him how much the Marine Corps needed parts on all their stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the
Yeah.
birds weren't always working the way they should be. But
Yeah.
you went in right out of high school, didn't you? Like,
I was out a year. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Like a lot of the kids already had plans going to college. I had no idea what I wanted to really do. And so I remember scheduling an appointment with a recruiter to come up to our house. And Dad was in the Army, so he's like, oh, here we go. He goes, just, you know, he was trying to give you all this advice. Dad leaves for a while. Dad comes back, and he goes, well, what happened? I go, That recruiter's a pretty good talker. I think I might have signed up.
Can't remember.
I think I want to
I
sign
think
up.
I'm a Marine.
I signed something. I don't know what it
Oh
was.
yeah. So, and then I remember him telling me at boot camp, he's like, "Don't just be in the middle. Don't be at the head of the pack. Don't be at the back of the pack." And so, I was running cross country a lot in high school. Well, the last couple of years, and so it's like, when I went in the Marine Corps, I was too competitive, and it drove me nuts. And so
You were always competitive.
we'd have eight.
Always.
We'd have 80 people in our platoon, and so I'd end up getting first running, and I was like, oh, great. And then the drill instructor said, don't ever lose, or you're going to end up in the sand pit, and for the rest of the day. And
So you didn't listen to your dad?
no, I screwed up once, and that was so I couldn't lose anymore to the drill instructors, and then
Right.
the sand pit. This story is just awesome. It was Christmas Day. We're in the sand pit because that's what you do on Christmas. You go down, you got to do push-ups, sit-ups until you can't move. And here comes a helicopter flying over, and I can sit. I'm looking out of my eye. I don't want to get up because I'll get yelled at. Doing push-ups, and I'm looking over. Santa Claus is hanging from the skids, and I'm like, what the heck? And he flies over and he hovers over us. And the drill instructor said, get up, wave at Santa Claus. We wave at him. We're going, what the heck? And he goes, now you know what USMC stands for. You suckers miss Christmas. I was like, oh, wow.
Just teasing you with the Santa Claus.
Oh, yeah.
That's great.
But anyways,
what did you
good
end
times.
up, what was your MOS?
artillery.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Now you were right in this, did you go overseas and get involved in some of that?
We got activated. We ended up in North Carolina for most of the time, and so they didn't need any more artillery. So we about got in trouble because we went over one of our captains, and we wanted to try to go really bad because, I mean,
You're a Marine. That's
that's all we trained for. And
Yeah,
it was like
yeah.
going, so it was kind of frustrating, but I don't know.
Well, thanks for that service. That's one of the things in hindsight that I always wish. There's a part of you, if you don't, you just really appreciate guys that do, but you always think, God, that would have been quite an interesting adventure to go through that. And
I'm trying to get through my VA stuff right now, and that's just been a nightmare. I've been working on that for over a year now.
Everybody says that.
It just
That's
takes
the
forever,
deal.
and so and there's not an easy process. You got to try to remember events and stuff that happened, and then they asked me. I said, well, 95% of my PTSD was probably law enforcement and 5% Marine Corps or whatever. So, and I go, does that really count? And he goes, yeah, it's a continuation, but then you have to document some things that happened and this and that. So it's like.
Mason has just started doing that after, 3 or 4 years he's been out, but he just got on with a company that's an advocate for veterans. And that's a big deal. That's helped him a lot. And they take some money, but it's not unreasonable, and they get paid when you get paid. And they go through the questionnaire with you. They know exactly how to turn the applications in and really be a liaison, because a lot of guys, like Mason found, he's trying to do it on his own, and it was like most government, just bureaucracy's
so
full of confusion.
Well, and I imagine too, I mean, this is an assumption, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you really got kind of messed up over there, and you're really struggling, and then you're trying to figure out the roadmap
Right.
for this, I mean, that seems almost impossible. So,
Well, and it's sad because you speak to it more than me. It's the really messed up stuff is what people are looking for. But in reality, it's all the little things that happen.
That add up. A
And
lot of
that
things
is
add
a
up.
really big deal. It's just on the surface, maybe to a civilian, doesn't seem like it.
well, I just mean that person, how can that person even, they're not functioning in life. How can they fill out paperwork and navigate that?
How can any of us fill out paperwork and navigate the government?
Yeah.
That's true.
They just don't make it easy, and it's kind of sad because, like,
Well, I'll get you that name.
The VA down in Wenatchee. I mean, he just texted me and he goes, "You got that paperwork done yet?" And I go, "Well, I'm trying to remember dates and when this incident happened or whatever." And he goes, "Well, just make an appointment and come on in, and I can help you fill it out online." But it's just the process. They need to streamline it better and.
How
We'll do
about
it.
just help? Because you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I get frustrated because there's drug addicts on the street getting free health care.
Don't get me started.
And then you got veterans
He's
that
code enforcement now.
can't, get help.
Well, I know.
It's like
like a
what
lot of
come on.
things. I'm not going to mention other things, but yeah, it's just we prioritize all these other.
I'm not saying don't help those people.
And the
I'm
veterans
saying
are kind of
also-
like at the bottom, which is kind of sad.
Yeah.
At times, so.
We often talk about that. The guys that went to world wars before there was counseling. Jim B and Jack Daniels were the counselors, and they come back and go, okay, be normal. Just be normal again. Go to your normal life again.
Just push it down. Just don't talk about it. Don't think about
don't get
it.
upset.
Just go live life. Go live life. Get over it.
And I told my boys when I was coaching them, and my youngest coaching them, and coached a lot of sports and stuff for a lot of years. And so I used to tell their team, I go, if you guys ever see a veteran, if I don't catch you thanking them for service, we're doing running lines or we're doing push-ups. And they're like, what?
These two need to start doing some push-ups. I said, thank you. Get on the ground. Give me 20.
You're the mouthpiece for the three of us. It was just
I am now. Okay,
one
since
group. Thank you.
I'm going to remember that. I'm the mouthpiece.
So, so I don't know. And one day it kind of stuck with him because there was a guy in a wheelchair and he had a veteran hat on. I was trying to remember if it was Vietnam or something. I think it was just a plain veteran hat on. And I said, sir, thank you for your service, right in front of him. And he breaks down and just starts crying right in front of my whole team. And I was just like, and he goes, these kids just don't understand. And I said, sir, they don't. And so I told them what I was trying to get them to do. And so I think from there I caught quite a few of them. They were looking at people's hats and they were trying to, walk around and thank you for your service. Yeah, we're not running any more lines. We're not going to do push-ups. And
well, I think I'd like you to talk about PTSD if you're comfortable with it, because I think there's a lot of guys that are going through that in various stages, obviously.
People.
Just
a lot of people.
I'm sorry, people. And they don't want to talk about it, and they don't know that it's okay to talk about it. So, I mean, you have enough strength in your character. How can you help? What would you say to those people based on what you went through and what you experienced?
I think the hard thing is trying to be vulnerable and actually talk about it, because the way we all in the past, if you look at guys in the past, they just didn't talk about it. If you were going, and if we can all remember, if somebody was secretly going to talk to a mental health counselor, they were weak, or they were, they had issues.
Yeah, there's
a
lot of stigma.
And there was, exactly.
There's a lot of stigma.
And that's sad. I had to go through a training.
Yeah.
Because I think I worked 32 years with the sheriff's department, and so it was like, I've had 9 child deaths, Saul's death. I've seen a lot of stuff.
Ugliness.
Yeah, and so just to go through that and experience that and not get the help. What's up, bud? Need help?
How you doing, brother? Come on in. The Broadster, unscripted.
Hi, everyone.
Well, what I appreciate about you and Mike and all the law enforcement. Thank you for that too. You may not know this, but it's comforting to know that you have close friends that have been a Marine, that are in law enforcement, and to know that you're one of those guys, as I hope you thought I was for you, where I could call you if I needed you. And that's the other part about growing up here, that your sacrifice, you may not know, but it was a comfort for me.
100%.
Yeah.
I've called them when I needed them. I mean, to know you as a friend, and then you're in that position, that's a great benefit living here. I believe,
still is. I mean, it still is.
Because when you have a, just like you're talking about this other bureaucracy, if I don't know someone, I'm not just going to the cop shop and saying, hey, can somebody,
right.
Do you know what I mean? That's not even, I don't know, just doesn't even seem like an available option.
It's kind of cool you guys say that too, because I've had kids, being a school resource officer,
Yeah.
I've actually had some kids reach out to me.
See?
Which was, to me, makes me feel good, because I think I touched some lives to where
For sure
they
you
can
have.
call me and say, hey, we got this going on. I go, whether it's law enforcement related or whatever,
Yes.
and I get them every once in a while reach out and call me and text me and ask some questions, and so. And
I
it's
mean,
like,
I
or
just-
sometimes it's my friend did. I go, okay, is it you or
You-
your friend?
But I
you
mean,
can stay with that.
That's the thing about
vulnerable
you,
thing.
you specifically, though. I don't want to,
Go ahead, say it, Tara.
You're an easy person to talk to, and you are very approachable. And so as a friend, I value that. But I think, like what you're saying, other people recognize that, who come in contact with you as well. And so, I mean, I have 100% appreciated. I want you to know the times that I've
appreciate
called
it.
you and you have come and you've been helpful and you've been honest and it hasn't been like a thing. That's a huge value.
Yeah, and I think however many you feel like you've helped, it's 100 times that.
I'll bet.
100 times. And you'd be
I'll
like
bet.
people that you wouldn't think would need it. Like, I mean, I know that I've been through some shit too, and haven't always been the perfect person. So I've been through some situations where I was close to, I'm glad I had people like you in my corner or other people that, I think you told me to get out the back door one year in a bar fight. I can't remember. You were
Allegedly.
Allegedly. I don't remember. Can't remember.
I plead the fifth.
And then the guy on the ground got arrested, and I was like, this is a very good situation.
I don't think that was me.
Okay, that's good. It was allegedly anyway. I'm just making this stuff up to make the
Somebody
podcast
like
sound
him.
good. Yeah. It was a
Somebody
long time.
looks
long,
like
long
him.
time ago. When you're young
Yeah.
kids, things happen. But just know that you've helped a lot of people, and I appreciate
For
you.
sure.
Yeah, that's the
You
main
say
thing.
Duke and people go, oh yeah, that guy.
So you were in law enforcement forever, and in hindsight, are you happy about that? Or you're still in law enforcement?
Yeah,
You're not-
I would never have my kids go into it because it's changed too much from when I first started. It's just, this state's tough to deal with.
I'll bet.
Criminals and stuff. It's like every time you turn around, you're fighting something against, and I'm like going, we're trying to, I got in, I think, law enforcement to help people, and and there's even been people that in the past I've sent to prison to where I've seen them when they got out of prison and they actually came up and are like, because Wenatchee's not that big, and so
Yeah.
or Chelan, all
Yeah.
these places, and
Yeah.
you're gonna run into them. And I ran into them, and they're like, "Hey, Deputy Duke, thank you," and shake my hand. And I'm like, "For what? Sending you to prison?" What? He goes, "Well, I got clean. I'm doing good now. I'm back with my family. Got my whatever, and
great.
you always treated me good." And I go, "Well,"
Do my
these
job.
towns are too small. You're gonna see them when when they
Yeah,
get out.
that's
So I go,
true.
you better be treating them. And then there were some, people who didn't treat people so good. And I go, you're the one. You're gonna have to deal with that yourself. I go, whether I liked them or not, still had to treat them with respect. And it that kind of went back to not gonna mention any names, but we used to have some gang fights out in City Park.
Yeah.
And we had a couple Memorial Days. We had a couple big gang fights, and they all took off running up Gibson to Evans Street, and I think me and a King County guy were come flying in behind them with mountain bikes, and all of a sudden we come down in there, and all of a sudden there's like 20 gang members standing around us chanting, and their girlfriends were all chanting, and I was like, this could go bad really fast. And so one of the guys that I know, he's actually a contractor now. Used to be in the gangs, and so he spoke up, and we always had a good respect for one another, and he told them all to basically shut up. He goes, "Duke's good people, and he's with me," and they all just kind of left us alone. And I was like, "Oh, thanks, man," because that could have went bad fast. And so, just by treating him good. Even though all those other gang members, they didn't like police, of course. So I didn't know what was going to happen, but it could have went bad pretty quick.
Did you see the change? Have you seen, like, you go back from the 90s through now, is it equally as dangerous? Is it more dangerous? Is it more volatile, or just all kind of the same?
I mean, it seems like drugs are so much worse.
Yeah, drugs were bad back then too. It's hard to say. I don't know. You'd have to probably pull some stats and stuff. It's just, I don't know. It's
Or just the leash on you
it's kinda
guys
hard.
has gotten
Yeah,
tighter.
I think you're there for a while, and it's kind of, some of the laws have kind of changed back to where we can, some things have changed to where we can actually do more of the job and stuff. But
Politics is a big part of it.
yeah, politics are a big part of it, and it's just, I don't know. It's back then, you arrest somebody, take them to jail. There's, I don't know, just
Paperwork.
You fought with people. There's a lot of paperwork. Maybe more paperwork now. I don't know. It seems like they get out. They go into court and they're out before you finish your reports and stuff, and they don't get any time. And so,
And not a lot of motivation to stop doing what they're
Yeah.
doing.
Well, I recall like the law or rule, or I don't know what you want to call it, where you couldn't like chase people anymore.
Yeah, and then it
So
came
like,
back.
what?
and
Just people
yeah.
just keep driving and then they
So
just get
pro-
away, or
The problem there is really scary. Is that if you're chasing somebody and it better be something serious, and if it's not, and they go in and they hit a family and they kill somebody, then
it's serious.
Then it's going to be on you for chasing the person.
Yeah.
And so you might lose your house and everything else.
We had Marion.
So we're not going to
Peebles.
chase people for going 5 over.
Probably not.
We had Marion, Marion was the police chief, right, forever, and we had Marion as Diana on the show. And I asked him this question, because my daughter is married to a guy, my son-in-law, who just started. He got through the police academy, did real well, just got hired on at Kitsap County. And so my daughter's one of those kind of people that, like I told my son, when she was 5 years older, he couldn't get a word in edgewise, so she trained him to be a good Marine, because he's flamethrowing. So I was trying to get Diane to tell me, like, what should you not do as a spouse of a cop? And she's like, don't ask questions, don't listen to the scanner. And my daughter's like calling me now because he's out on duty now. I was on the scanner. I'm like, did you not watch? I told you, like, don't, just chill.
Yeah, I actually watched Marion's. Yeah, that was good. And that's hard to do. I mean, when I was coaching my kids, I'd have all these volunteer firefighters and EMS people, and they had their pagers and scanners and their
Everything
app,
beeping
and I'm
and-
like, can you guys just turn that stuff off? I don't want to hear it. I'm not at work. I don't want to hear it. Because I had to do it like 24/7. It was just like, and then if you're married to somebody else or girlfriend or whoever, somebody's listening to something, they hear your name on the radio, and you're like, what's going on down there? And so they get kind of worried.
He got in a fight the first day on the job. So I said, welcome to being a cop. He's good, though. He could de-escalate my daughter. He could de-escalate anybody. So I said, you're
Well,
going to
when
be good.
you were married, wasn't your wife?
Yeah, she was a police officer
Two.
for 23 years.
Wow.
When I had
So-
police department.
That's got to be an interesting
You and
dynamic.
Jason
Yeah.
Brooks. You and Jason Brooks married. He's good.
Yeah, and I think I remember at the academy too. They even said it's like an 80% divorce rate. It's just not. You can't. The hard thing I think is not bringing you can't bring your work home with you, and that's hard not to do. And how do you like talking to Marion? I mean, how do you talk about some of that stuff? And it's really hard because you always hear the other half say, "Well, I want you to open up and tell me about it." I go, "There's stuff I don't want you to hear. There's stuff
Like
that
you wish you didn't know it.
exactly." Or
So why am I going to dump it
or
on
I
you?
didn't see it.
Right.
having-
I can't get it out of my head. I don't want to put
having
that in
9
your head.
child deaths in my career, I can remember every single one of them.
Oh, yeah.
And that just takes a toll on you. And
Yeah,
so,
well, I appreciate you, man. You have dedicated your whole life to us, and it's a big deal. It's a big deal. You should never not know that we all are thankful, and,
Well, I
and your
appreciate
friendship, man. It's like
no, I
they're hard to
appreciate
find.
it. I just, more people, we didn't get the help back then when I first started. And I've joined the critical incident stress management team where we debrief critical incidents. And while we're debriefing it, it kind of triggers stuff that I've had come up in my, the deaths and stuff. And back then, we just didn't have a way to process any of that stuff. And it's not healthy.
No,
and
it's
so
not.
I literally, when Saul was killed, June 26th of 2003, I was at his house like 2 weeks before with him, Marie, and the boys, and we were having barbecue. And then I was one of the first ones on scene.
Oh, jeez.
And so that one haunted me for a lot of years, and I love that family. And so, and actually my ex was actually his partner in the police academy, too, which was really weird. And so every time we do debriefs about different critical incidents all these years, and then it would trigger something. And so it got to a point where I said we went to this training, and a deputy from Douglas County just he was vulnerable, and he talked about him going through this EMDR training.
Ooh, yeah.
And so I was kind of interested in it, so I went up and talked to him, and then once I told him some of the stuff that I've seen, and
Did you do that?
yeah, so but he wouldn't let it down. He called me every week. He goes, "Have you went yet? Have you set up a date? Have you went yet? Have you set up a date?" And I go, "Okay, I'm going to do it." So I did it up at Cascade Medical Center in Leavenworth, and I think it helped. It's a weird process,
It's
but
weird,
it helped.
right? Really
Yeah,
weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
So what did they do
So-
for that particular one? Because I know I've heard it's your eye movement, right?
Well, so
And
there's some different things. Mine was a
Eye,
tapping.
ear, yeah.
Or you do a tapping, and I can't even explain. You got to read about it because I wouldn't be able to
It's
do
something
the
about
technical.
it's something about your
Right and left?
Yeah, your right and left brain.
So it can be eyes, ears, touch. It's all senses.
some sort of sense.
Because there's the things you can listen to, the binaural beats.
And then you got to go through the process of a critical incident and go and try to remember and talk about and go through the whole.
You have to go through the whole incident.
Well, I tried as much as I could, and they kept
you-
asking as you're doing this
Yeah.
to try to.
Clear it out.
I guess, yeah.
And then,
it's hard to explain. It's
It's
weird.
very hard to explain.
From what I've heard is that like when you have like you think of like just that scenario, you don't even think it all the way through because your brain doesn't even want to go there. But you can feel that awful feeling in your body. And then when you do it, whatever it is, the tapping and then the whole process, and then afterwards, if they ask you about it again, you just don't have that horrible sensation in your body anymore. Is that accurate?
I don't know if it was right away because I mean, I went to several sessions and then just down the road, I don't think I can tell that when we were doing debriefings of other things and different training I was going to, I don't feel I was thinking about it as much, maybe, I guess. And so I felt like, I think it did help. And
it kind of raises your trigger threshold depending on how deep you go and how long you do it. And then like the listening that you can do, you have to use headphones because it goes into one ear and the other. You know, it can't be just on a speaker. You can keep doing that to help.
Well, it's good that you're taking action, whatever it is. You know, just stay in action.
Helps. Anything.
You know, I've read a lot and been watching a lot of podcasts about ayahuasca and DMT and the work they're doing with veterans in various places, various countries.
Yeah, like microdosing.
And ketamine too. And there's some pretty amazing statistical research being done now, like Stanford and other places where they're holding long-term case studies to legalize it for PTSD. So, I mean, and that's the thing about, I had a lot of friends I've known that have had it, but it's really not people you would think, like just normal life. They got in a car crash, they got PTSD, they got...
Or their parents died and they, or bad incidents happen.
Yeah, and I think the point there is just to be, I love what you said, just be vulnerable and not be, it's okay to talk about it. I mean, that's the thing that I think guys our age, especially, because we were kind of that generation below the guys that were definitely not talking about it at all. So,
right.
And it's important, it's good to have a good time. It's good to have a fun life and a happy life. And it's kind of hard to do when you're breathing through a wet blanket,
You got to find somebody you can talk to about it too.
Yeah.
And so that's why I try opening up. I've opened up to a lot of people that can call me or whatever they want to talk about an incident or something because, like you're saying, any type of critical incident. I mean, your parents die or something, or something critical to you might not be critical to me. It could be, and then you get other stuff that triggers it. Another accident of a friend, and that triggered your parents, or whatever.
This is why we talk about not judging. Kind of the point of this podcast, right? Is to just let's judge less because we don't know what anyone else is going through. Believe that we're all doing the best we can with where we're at and what we know, and the gift of grace.
Yeah.
Because that goes a long way for
The
all
thing
people.
that frustrates me about that is like the people that judge EMS or police, just emergency services or police in general, because I don't think they understand what we see. I got to the point where I said, I've seen everything in horror movies I've seen everything in real life that you've seen in horror movies. And they're like, what? And I go, I've seen it. I've seen it all. I go, and it's stuff that you can't erase from your brain, and it's sad. And my last 10 years of working, I could show. I mean, I got lazy at work. I didn't care anymore. And I look at it now and I go, it's pretty frustrating because I was hurting, and I was really struggling. And so, and I might have thought I threw out some flyers to people, but no one kind of caught on and stuff because back then it was just like. Move on to the next one. And that's what we did. We used to, we used to say, you go to a call and you're like, it's bad. And you're like, deal with it, move on to the next one. Deal with it, move on to the next one. Deal with it, move on to the next one. And you just, your garbage pail gets full, overflows. I heard somebody else say it's like a backpack putting pebbles in it. And when it fills up, you can't put any more in it, You got to get some help.
And then you
Yeah,
realize
that's
how
good that
heavy
you
it
are.
is.
You know,
Exactly.
I think too, because you are a funny, smart aleck kind of guy, like that personality to me, I think people just assume you're okay, because to me, I see you would use just like humor and sarcasm as a kind of a safety.
Your coping mechanism?
Yeah.
And a lot of law enforcement, we've had to do that at crime scenes and stuff. A lot of law enforcement copes with it that way. They make,
Yeah.
and we got to be careful, because I go, family not around, because we're making jokes. It's not that we don't take it serious,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
that's
yeah.
just how we cope with it, and people don't
100%.
see it that way.
Yeah. Sure.
And,
My
and
girlfriend is a detective, and she, same thing. We have the same conversation. Like she just can't believe the things that she's experienced. But her thing that her coworkers kind of make fun of her about a little bit, it's kind of a fun-loving joke, kind of like you're talking about, is there'll be some dead guy on the ground, like some drug deal went south, or something. He was in the wrong, let's just say. And he's on the ground dead, and she's yelling at him like she's his mom, like scolding him. Like, didn't you think this was going to happen? Didn't you know that this was an option, that you were going to end up dead? Like, you couldn't make better choices? That's her coping. That's her, like, you got to get it out somehow. And her coworkers are always like, geez, okay, Mom, But you got to find that way, I guess. I don't know. I don't think it makes sense to anybody that doesn't experience it.
Yeah, and it really doesn't. It's hard to explain to people.
Yeah.
I think until you see, and the stuff just keeps building up. And like I said, my last 10 years, I think I really struggled.
I'm glad it seems like you're doing all right now.
Oh yeah, it was
Getting there?
It was a struggle though. I mean, it was just the death that you see. Like I said, the stuff that I've seen in my career, and just it was tough.
Yeah, you've seen all sides:
So-
jailer, cop, school,
Yeah.
and now you're code enforcement, right?
Yeah.
That I'm going to ask you about that. Kind of switch gears a little bit. That's a fairly new concept, wasn't it, to put code enforcement into law enforcement?
Yeah, I think they started like 3 years ago. And then there's 3 deputies that are doing it. You have to be commissioned. It's a special commission, so they still have arrest powers and stuff if they want, and so.
That's just your job in the field is to basically identify. And
We work a lot
notice.
with community development, so it's all civil stuff that we're dealing with, and so.
Like
'cause
civil disputes that get like arised
No,
typically?
civil
Like zoning
property,
violations.
zoning,
So this was
permitting,
like a
all
building
that.
department person did this before?
Correct, and but they don't really go to a lot of it, because we're going to people's properties, and when you start dealing with their personal property, like we talked to before this started getting recorded,
Yeah.
people don't like you being on their property, and it can
No.
go south real quick.
I don't like
And so-
I don't like that assessor being on my property, I'll tell you that.
Let alone a code enforcement guy. What did I do? What did I do?
And it's a little different, I think, maybe if we show up in uniforms and stuff, but we're just trying to get, they're trying to get compliance. Like I said earlier, I had to take off. There was a break-in service that I didn't do when this whole thing started, so I've been there doing it for 1.5 years. Friday, Saturday, Sundays off. Love it, but I had to take a 30-day break-in service because evidently I didn't do it the first time. There was some miscommunication with IRS, DRS, everything else. So I have to retest the process and go back to do it if I want to go back and do it again.
How many years have you been in? No.
I worked 7 years. I worked 7 years in the jail. I was about 24 years in the field, and 1.5 years at code enforcement.
You've been at it a while.
So you're gonna have to do math. That's a Manson
About
thing.
33.
That is a Chelan thing. So.
I'm just guessing.
Okay, so
Let me see my phone.
The
Right?
jail thing, like working in the jailhouse is also difficult.
it was really good working in the jail, guys, because when you work in the jail, you really have to learn how. The inmates have 24 hours a day to think of things to make your life miserable.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. And the ones
The bad guys are the bad guys.
Exactly. And you'll know the ones that are really bad, that 24 hours a day, they're going to do something to make your life miserable in there. So you had to do that balance with, like we were saying, treat them with respect, so they'll treat you with respect. Because and then you treat them with respect, and they don't. Sometimes somebody in the tank
Deals with it.
will say something and deal with it, and so it's like, but it's kind of hard because 7 years, man. The guys I give them a lot of credit because there's no windows, you don't see out, and I worked a ton of overtime, and so back in the day, and so I felt like you were just like locked up yourself because you don't see outside. It's like sometimes you go there in the dark and you leave in the dark.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, what was it like outside today? And you know, and you're working around inmates and they just.
So there's no bright part of your day. That's what you're saying.
The jailers, I didn't really feel like that. You know, if you're on the transport team, you got to transport people. You know, and you got to leave.
Yeah.
I
remember when you got back. I remember when you went. We were screwing around in high school, and then when you went to the Marines, I remember when you came back, and I remember meeting you again. And you were much more. You were like a lot of guys, like my son was too. When he first got out, he was pretty intense, and I remember going, "Huh, there's a different Duke."
Yeah,
you kind of edged it up, you know, out of the military, of course, you know.
It changes you. I mean, it's good discipline. It was good everything, but it's just. It's almost, you don't know another way of life. I mean, you're so fixed on just all the rules, and for 3 months, and actually maybe it was 4 months because I think there was the warrior training afterwards anyways, but I almost feel like it was like I remember a guy who went to federal prison and he got out and trying to fit back in. He was just a totally different person, and he just did something stupid just to go back because he just couldn't survive out in it changed him.
That's the institutionalized concept.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
So what's you said earlier? First of all, what's that? Is that you know what that hat reminds me of? Lee Stalker and Duke. Did you guys?
I know.
Did you guys open
no,
a company?
No, actually, my cousin Mike
Lee's
Duke.
and Duke.
My cousin Mike Duke in Okanagan.
Okay.
Lee's and Duke's.
But that's what I thought about you.
Well, I know.
Lee
You know what?
Stalker
That's
and
funny,
Sean Duke. Just
I know. I
opened
thought
a
because
company.
Lee and I were good friends, and so I was like going, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't thought of Lee. I saw him. I actually called him not that long ago about some construction stuff. But you remember we were playing baseball? Didn't you play on the baseball team? Remember that one guy that got in trouble and killed a guy, and he got out, and I don't know, it doesn't matter. His name was 25, 30 years ago, whatever it was. But we were playing, and we got into a little something, and Darren was there, and I think you were there, and Lee Stalker was there, and I was there, and we were all surrounded this guy. He was popping off, and Lee looks at him and he goes, "What are you, stupid?" I'll never forget that because Lee's like, we will just absolutely. Lee's like a giant guy. Darren's a giant guy.
Lee was crazy.
We were so competitive, man, at everything we did.
I love Lee. He's
such a good dude.
Yeah, he'd give you his shirt off his back. He's a great guy.
I'm going to get him on this. He's another.
Oh, God.
Thought about a story, man. That guy's got a story.
You might have to have like electric hooked up to him. If he cusses, you just shock him or something.
It's unscripted. I'll just put a disclaimer on the.
Shock him.
This is not PG-13, people.
I got that dog
if you
collar.
talk to him, let me do the shocking.
Oh, that'd be
I'd
fun.
love to show up with him and just him and I we hung out a lot.
Yeah, that's what I thought when I saw that hat.
Yeah.
Did you guys open a
That's
business?
funny you say that because I thought about that the other day and I go Lee, and I just thought of Lee when I saw it. No, so Lee's and Duke's Excavation. My cousin Mike Duke took over his dad's company. My dad's brother, his dad, Stan Duke, died and he passed, and so and then Mike's grandpa was Lee. And so it was Lee's and Duke's Excavation forever, and then Mike took it over, and he's working the Okanagan, Omak area. Everybody knows him up there.
Nice.
And so we were at where the heck were we at? I can't even remember where we were at, and we were, I was like going, well, I can't believe you never gave me any one of those hats. And I was giving him a hard time. Oh, it was actually, it was after Stan passed, it was a little get together afterward for the little potluck and food and everything, and so the little reception thing. And so I was like, I really like that hat. You never gave me one. And he's like, starts to take it off, and so he starts to hand it to me, and I go, thanks.
Right.
And I just took his hat from him.
There you go.
But anyway,
It's a misdemeanor. I'll let you off this
I know.
time. So you and your dad were super close, if I remember right.
Yeah, I think kind of like my dad kind of reminds me like how you and your dad were.
Yeah. It's hard.
And I kind of look back on it, and I think I only went to I was talking to my sister about this. I go, I think I only went to like a couple dances in high school, and that was it. And I go, because I was hunting and fishing every single weekend with my dad and my brother. I mean, we were hiking into lakes, fly fishing, and hunting, and we go out of state hunting, and It's just something that we did every single weekend.
Yeah.
And I look at some of the stuff back in high school, like not going to some of the dances and stuff, and I wish I would have did a few more of those things, but I was just so into hunting and fishing. That's all I wanted to do. I couldn't that's what I wanted to do.
And those memories are equally, if not more powerful. Those are good times for you and your dad to hang out like that. Get near enough of those.
And we did a lot of fly fishing out of float tubes. We went into a lot of lakes. And Scott Davis, that was killed on the tractor. Him and my brother were pretty much like boyfriend, girlfriend. I mean, they literally would call each other like every night, I swear.
Yeah.
And so, and he was like a brother to me.
Yeah,
and
that was a sad day, boy.
And so Scott was just a great dude. He hunted with us, out of state with us. He went on fly fishing trips with us, and we take our float tubes into all these lakes and started tying our own flies, we were at a lake up by L Lake, I think it was, up by Tenasket. And I remember this fly fishing club was up there, and they're just like, and my brother's a smart aleck too, like me, but so we were just like, these guys are like, they're catching fish. They started catching a few fish, and they were like, Bill, what are you using over there? And he's like, oh, I'm using naming all these flies, and then they just stopped catching them. And then Dad went over to look what was hatching and saw that these mayflies were hatching, so he gave us all these mayflies, and then we started hammering them. And then we started going, Dave, what are you using over there? What are you catching over there? So we started doing over the top of their guys and it was just...
You're the instructors for their club.
Oh, yeah, it was hilarious, but...
Not competitive at all.
No,
Not competitive at all.
Yeah, well, that was...
Competing with strangers, fishing.
It was. It didn't matter if it was cards at night at deer camp or whatever, because...
Yeah.
And in all, I'm going to blame it on their class, because that was probably the most competitive that I mean, every time we played them, it was like out for blood. I mean, baseball, it didn't matter what it was.
No, it's cultural for sure.
But I mean, I look back on those times, and I'd love to see some of those guys again. It'd be nice to get those two classes together, because some great people.
A lot you can't understand it unless you're in it, right? And that's why it's so powerful of memories for all of us that were there. And like we did the big screen Tacoma Dome game at the Mill Bay Casino with Frank and Todd. And a lot of people look at it and like, what are those guys reliving? Why can't you move on? I'm like, you guys don't understand what it was like. It's another level. It's like if you watch the movie Hoosierville, Indiana Hoosiers with Gene Hackman. That's what it was like, wasn't it? I mean,
it was pretty. I mean, you knew it was going to be just tough.
They were all going to be barn burners and
just die on the floor.
Again, Manson, they just, the little village on the bay, they wanted to take credit for Lake Chelan. We let them stay out there and live near the lake. And you too, there, sis.
Okay, well, when we were kicking your ass and when we were in the village on the bay, were we? Right?
The rivalry still lives on.
It never dies.
Yeah.
We can love each other and still want to kill each other.
I know. No, we had some good times. It was a lot of fun. Growing up in Chelan is just, it's hard to put it in perspective just to see what this valley's. I mean, it kind of sucks how it's growing to what it is. I hate to see a lot of the orchards being taken out and the houses and stuff, and getting a job in Chelan, just be able to talking to my sister about it, riding your bike over town or riding to your job or whatever.
Yeah.
We were over the hill from the waterslides, and waterslides was the very first owner. I worked for every owner except for Bordner's, the current owners, which I know the family really well now.
Taken it to another level.
And I actually did some of the landscaping there at the very beginning when it was first being built, because I love to do. I love to do some of the landscaping, planting trees and stuff. I just kind of enjoyed that stuff back then, and so I got to doing some of that. So that was kind of fun to see, and then see how it grew for all the different owners and stuff, and just what the valley. Talking to my sister about what the valley, like for instance, going to get, we have a function and we need to get some gift certificates or something, and the people you can go to in this town, just awesome. I mean, they're just like, oh yeah, what do you need?
Yeah.
I mean, Eric Campbell. I mean, Art, this is what I need. And going to the Campbells. Eric will hook you up. Eric would always hook me up. Tom, owner of Lakeside Inn and Suites. Great. Tom, what do you need? How many you need? Bordner's. Of course. How many you need? You know, and it's just like we'd have some type of event or just whatever, and then I felt like I was burning those bridges. I go to all the same people. They'd always take care of you every single time.
Yeah.
So
the generosity runs deep, and it's often that dichotomy between you need the money, you need the tourism for the economy, you need that trickle down economics, you need those gift cards to get these kids, and then at the same time things change, and that change is inevitable, and it's like change isn't easy in any situation. And then you look at the pricing of things, and the more money there is, supply and demand kind of dictates price, unfortunately. So it's this whole web of I think the businesses often get a bad rap when people start talking about tourism in a negative light, when that's the fuel that most people need to live here, one way or the other, whether they're a waiter at Campbell's or whether they're working at the waterslides. There's a lot of people that wouldn't have jobs if there was no tourism.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like my dad said, give me my town back. It's September,
Right.
Like, there's that mindset.
And it's hard. I mean, with all of us growing up here and just seeing, all the orchards and then a lot of them gone, and more houses, and
I don't think there's
just
anything wrong with nostalgia.
the growth is good, and we know it's going to happen. I mean, we all know that's going to happen, but I think it's just sad to see, and I wish some of our kids could have experienced some of the stuff. And talking about Chelan and seeing the kids out here on the beach today, you know what I was telling my sister about? It's funny because somebody asked me a while back about, hey, let's go to Maui or Hawaii or whatever, and I go, it doesn't really do much for me. And I said, I grew up in Chelan, and they don't get it. You guys get it.
Go to Watson's Resort and hang out there.
You don't, and I'm like going, we had more beaches then, but we had sunrises, sunsets. I go, I didn't have the ocean water. I go, it was kind of like a vacation all summer long.
Yeah.
I mean, it really was. Fresh water. I mean, it was
definitely
like,
felt that
it's
way.
really hard to beat.
Yeah.
I talk to people every once in a while, somebody's out of state, and I go, hey, you know where Lake Chelan is? Because they ask for things to do, and they're like talking about Leavenworth, and no, we'll look it up, and they look it up. Man, that's beautiful. So
It's tough. I wish people understood a little bit more about the complexity of land use in your code enforcement world, and how thick that bureaucracy has gotten, and how hard it is to develop, and how those many supply constraints are leading the development that is possible into a certain category, which is the upper end.
Yeah.
And it's not all by design. It's literally, I'm in that game, and we've been working on things a long time. It's like a marathon to do anything now. I mean, literally in my career, I've gone from 2 months to get a short plat done to like a 2-lot short plat, something very, very basic. Everything's easy to do. Everything's good. 2.5 years. So when you start thinking about that lack of predictability, that annoys investors, because you'll get halfway through and somebody will say, oh, by the way, just need to build a sidewalk to Seattle and you'll be fine. It's like, so there's a risk premium attached to it. So it's really complex. And the ag industry is the same way. There's so much complexity to that story. It's not as simple as it was in the 80s and before, where you raise good fruit, you sell your fruit, you make a good living, you work hard. So much more internationally and domestically. So it's like that last few years that we had in the 80s and 90s was the last, like for farming, it was one of the last, of that style of farming. And then there was the introduction of corporations and others. But it's so complex that if we could ever figure out how to get politicians to simplify it, and I'm not one, so I can only bitch so much without doing something internally, but it is the biggest supply constraint we have right now. And the perception is we build a lot of houses, or people build a lot of houses. But in reality, to the need, we're not building the houses that we need. And we can't build those houses we need necessarily. I shouldn't say can't, because we're working on ideas.
It's challenging.
It's very challenging. It used to be like acquisition, labor, proximity to utilities, things like that, where your fundamentals, that's going to decide what you're going to build. Are you on the lake? Are you in the mountains? Or now it's just how long is it going to take? How many curveballs are we going to get? And how many attorneys are we going to, how many activists that have an infinity swimming pool and look at the lake are going to be bitching about development? That's the one that you want to get me fired up. That's the one that fires me up. Preying on the naivete of other people while you're sitting in a mansion with an infinity swimming pool saying, we shouldn't build any more houses here. Yeah, because you have time and money. So you're at every city council meeting, you're burning torches and bringing those pitchforks while this person can't afford to rent a house and has
Right.
2
They live
jobs
in
and 3
Bridgeport.
kids and trying to
Yeah.
get their kids to soccer. They're not going to any city
Well,
council
even,
meetings.
you know, the elderly people in this town, my mom, it's they struggle.
Yeah.
You know, it's so expensive, and you want to, I mean,
It's
you've been
tough.
here forever, and you want to kind of stay here instead of
Yeah.
have to sell your house and leave.
And then we'll go where?
yeah.
I mean,
Exactly.
And it all starts with that
then go where?
planning department. It all starts with those legislation behind the planning department. And that's where I find it fascinating. So many people want to complain about federal politics. You know, President Trump did this, Biden did that. Okay, that's great. Let's focus on who we're electing here. And let's focus on
What we can do.
the things
Worry
we can
about our own
control.
state.
Yeah, and if not, what happens is the vocal minority that think they're the majority end up being in the ear of everybody, and they have the lawyers, so they're threatening the litigation constantly. And then the silent majority that are busy working those 2 jobs and raising kids don't have a voice. And my only soapbox to politicians locally is don't forget who elected you. It's not the guy on the hill with the $1 million house and the big pool and the big Land
$5
Rover.
million house
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah, right. So
Yeah.
it's hard though. I mean, I'm not a politician, so like I said, I can only bitch so long, and then I got to shut up. But we're working on it.
Well, okay, so are your siblings still around here?
My sister Tammy is up in off of Boyd District. She still lives up here.
Okay.
Nice.
And sister Connie is in East Wenatchee, and brother Dave's in Spokane.
Okay, so
So
pretty close. And you said something about your kids and Chelan. Do you feel like you had the time and resources for them to experience Chelan a lot growing up, or no?
I think it was probably too expensive at the time to probably come here, and then we were living in East Wenatchee, and so when your kids are so, I mean, I had 2 kids that were so big into sports that we were
Yeah.
going
That's fun.
this way and just all
Yeah.
over, and so it's like when you're doing that, and then when you're kind of thinking about a small town, I mean, I always had it in the back of my mind, Chelan. But everybody's like, well, Cashmere is the sports town if you're going to go there. So we ended up,
That's a good place to live, though.
we had a chance to go to Cashmere and take the kids to school there. So,
Yeah.
Hung out with Glenn Johnson a little bit.
yeah. Old Glenn. Yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's just hard. There's not a lot of stuff for kids to do in Cashmere. I mean, if you're not doing it, and people don't see it that way, and I kind of see the overall picture now growing up here and the stuff kids can do. And I mean, if you're not playing sports in that town, I mean, you have 50 kids try out for basketball, and maybe 15 of them get cut, and those kids
Oh.
aren't going to do anything. So it's like,
Oh.
it's,
Yeah,
I don't know,
that's
it's
very
and,
different.
and there's not a lot of stuff and Cashmere is just so dang competitive, and so
Sure.
it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, that sits different because it's not really like that here. I mean, sports are still pretty competitive, but if you
Well,
want
the
to
sl-
participate, you're
Yeah,
kind of still able to participate.
There's something magical about small schools.
and but if you have, well, they don't have the numbers, some of the schools don't have the numbers that people, trying out for, say, basketball, and they just have enough to make A, B, and C squad, and so they have more people, more than enough to do A, B, C, D, and E squad. Well, there is
Yeah.
no D and E, so you're going to cut all these kids, and it's like,
And one.
I kind of feel sorry for some of the kids because they don't get to do anything, and it's like there's just not a lot of things to do in the town, other than if you're playing, if you're not playing
Yeah.
sports, and that can tend to get kids in trouble, and so that's the thing about Chelan. I mean, we were swimming all summer long, and then wintertime, Echo Valley.
Right.
I mean, my
Yeah.
brother, my sister, me, we all became ski instructors for Echo Valley. And so, I mean, we were up there every weekend, and we did that for a long time.
That is such a resource here.
Yeah.
It's amazing that we have that. I mean, it's so close. It's safe.
Yeah, it was
my
neat.
son's 6, 7, 8. He's up there just ripping by himself.
Yeah.
And I know that someone's gonna, if he gets himself in a situation, where he's waist deep in snow and can't move, somebody's grabbing him. Somebody's helping him out. It's just a great.
And now they switched the one to, then they do one of them, so they kind of not just skiing. Now they have the tubing up there. They've had that for a long time too.
Yeah, they got rid of the
whole
far
wall
rope.
or a whole hill of for tubing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
fun.
And they have the Echo Ridge for the cross country guys too, and
Snowshoeing.
hiking.
Yeah.
And those there's endless miles of trails now. And it's guys like Bob Knauss and all this volunteer work with this excavation. You know, people are really putting a lot of dedication and don't get they're silent heroes. They don't get a lot of credit for that, but everybody gets to enjoy it because of those kind of guys. And
Yeah.
so what's Duke going to be doing next? Got a girlfriend? Getting
No.
ready to have some more kids? What are you doing?
No. Just trying to survive in this state, in this economy, I guess.
Yeah.
So where are you heading when you're all done working?
You know, if I had my way, I'd love to go to Idaho or Montana. Tell you the truth.
That really sounds like a Duke thing to do.
I know.
Me
I
too.
can hunt the rest of my life.
Yeah, hunt and fish. I don't know what's stopping you.
I know. But everybody else is moving there, and they're running all the prices up. So it's
Well, hurry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
you gotta
they're already up. I already heard.
Feel like Frank and Des, they're in Grangeville, Idaho. It's not too bad there. It's pretty inexpensive, and they're on the Clearwater there. So that's where he ended up buying
There's
a place
spots,
and built a
man.
little
There's
cabin on the
spots.
river.
They did?
Yeah.
That's where they're at.
Well, they live here, but they have
Yeah.
a second home. Then they have a little house in town. It's pretty cool. I've been over there a few times, and it's kind of not been populated by the California movement or the Seattle movement during COVID. And that's when COVID came. Everybody moved to Idaho. They're like, COVID what over there? They didn't apply to that prescription. They're like,
Yeah.
like I had friends that worked in Spokane and lived in Coeur d'Alene, and literally every day during COVID they'd be like, everybody's going to die in Spokane. And then they go home like, what are you guys talking about? What is COVID?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what you're
I
talking
know.
about. Like,
Different
such a weird
areas
time
have
to be on that
different-
border.
Whole different lenses.
Yeah, because we got shut down in this state for playing select basketball, and then I knew teams that were going to Idaho to play,
Yeah.
and we didn't do it, and we should have, because.
You don't know.
But I had a couple parents that didn't want their kids,
Sure.
so
Yeah.
that kind of affected the teams to where we couldn't,
Yeah. Well, nobody knew what to do for a while there. But, you look out here and that lake's still the lake, the sun's still the sun, and even though it's changed, it's the same thing we did. All these people
Still feels
having,
good to jump in at night under the moonlight. I'll tell you that.
having a
Some
blast.
things don't change, right?
Yeah. Well, we used to water ski right inside here, and there was no
Buoy.
buoys.
line.
We didn't have to worry about
Yeah.
buoys. Come and spray the little girls on their air mattresses. That was our cutoff point. This is the best water skiing back in the day. I told my son.
I
one
remember
time-
you water skiing out here.
Yeah, I told my son, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago, I started a little skiing, and I showed him some pictures, and I thought he'd be like, you're a stud, Dad, and that's cool. He goes, that's very nostalgic.
Yep.
Like, that's not what I was looking for. like a museum.
I'm pretty
that's like
sure
a-
Sean's kids aren't impressed by his stand-up jet
Hey,
skis.
I'd like to take
skills
all these
either.
kids that are, what do they call it, wake surfing?
Yeah.
No idea.
I'd like to take all those kids and go, okay, guys,
Water ski.
try to water ski. Let's see how long that takes you.
I never could do a stand-up jet ski, so
Or stand-up jet ski. See how you like that.
That's hard. Like, do you think you could do that now?
Oh yeah.
Nuh-uh. Oh boy,
You should probably
here we
hold
go.
like a nostalgic
You don't.
Sean
It's like
Duke
riding a bike.
instruction
Oh,
manual.
right.
It's like riding a bike.
Rip out a shoulder.
You should go back partner with Connor Stevens and have a.
Actually, I talked to Connor about that. I go, God, I wish I would have known you were doing that.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have gone in with you. He got in at the right time, so good for him.
Well, you should just be like
family.
hold classes, old school jet ski classes.
Um,
The Duke Classic Memorial.
so that's funny you say that because Gene Edmond, what's his name? He was a safety for the Seahawks, and he went to Green Bay Packers.
Eugene Robbins.
Eugene Robinson.
Yeah.
So he was at the jet ski place one day, and he checks in with his brother-in-law, and they go out, and I went. And I was up above, and I come
you
down, and I
work
go,
for Jan?
I go, that guy looked kind of familiar. So I go down, and I look at the paperwork, and go, holy smokes, that's Eugene Robinson. So he comes back in, and I start talking to him, and they took out
Yeah. What was
your
his
sit down. They took down
Yamahas?
those sit down ones. Anyways,
I know.
so-
He'd come to my house and be like, "See-do."
Yeah, you had the fast ones though at the time. Those things were dangerous. Anyways, so he comes back in. I start talking to him. I go, hey, why don't you take out one of these stand-ups? He goes, oh no. He goes, those things scare me to death. And I
Yeah.
go, and then his brother-in-law's there, and I go, you hit guys that are over 300 pounds and a stand-up jet ski scares you? And I don't know what he thought. His brother-in-law thought that was so funny, but he just started teasing Eugene about that.
And his nickname, I think, was the Hitman. Wasn't it? Wasn't it?
I don't know. It might have
He
been.
was a safety, I think, right?
But anyways, I just thought that was hilarious. And
I think
so,
it was the hitman.
And so he goes, hey, you know how to ride those? And I go, oh, yeah, I ride them a little bit. And he goes, well, show us. So I went out and did some tricks and stuff. And he's like, oh, that's cool. Well, we got done talking, and then I go, hey, where are you staying at? He goes, Wapata Point. And I go, we got an open gym at Manson tonight. You want to come out with me? I was
Beat those Trojans?
I brought in an extra guy.
Yeah,
Open
ringer,
gym right here.
ringer.
And he calls his wife. I'll never forget this. He calls his wife. And he asks his wife if he can go out and play ball out at Manson, open gym tonight. And you can hear his wife go, Gene, that's not going to happen. We're on vacation.
We're with the family.
Yeah, and so, and he goes, I'll tell you what, I go out every morning for 2 hours. Meet me over at the basketball courts out at Wapata Point, and we'll play some 3-on-3. Or play some 21, I think it was back in the day. Anyway, so I got 21. Kevin Dietrich. And I got Kevin Dietrich to come out, and Kevin got to meet him too. And so Kevin and I are really good friends growing up. So Kevin and we all got to play, and he got to meet him and stuff. That was pretty cool.
Probably had a contract clause there that says, don't play rat ball in a small town.
Yeah, I
Now,
Your little
Jan
knees
Rose
don't-
is for sale. Why don't you
Yeah.
get in on that
No, he
action
probably
and
wants a little too much.
do some
Probably
jet
wants a little
ski
too much.
clinics.
all.
Continue your childhood. into your-
Tuiasa Sopo was, I met him too that one summer.
Oh,
And
Yeah, this is a lot of Seahawks
do you
coming
remember
to this town.
the space ball?
Yeah, oh yeah.
It was
We
down
played
in the
that
ground
every day.
Yeah, so
You
I
and I were
worked there. I
addicted.
was really good at it. So when you work there, you tend to get pretty
Yeah,
good at
right?
it.
Yeah. That was a fun game.
So Manu Tuiasa Sopo, do you know who this is?
no. Marcus's dad.
Yeah. So Manu, he must be
400 pounds.
380 or
Yeah.
something. He's huge. I mean, so somebody goes, hey, him and his family are down at the park. I said, hey, come
That's
on
a
up. They can go
trampoline.
free in here, mini golf. We'll get them on the bumper boats. And all of a sudden, here he comes, and he like blocks out the sun. He's a big guy. Oh, he's blocked. He's huge. And he comes up, and of course, he can't go in there, but he goes, he put Marcus in there with me. And I was actually taking it easy on him when I started, and he got mad at me.
Sure.
Dad got mad at me, and he goes, he's not going to learn if you take it easy on him. And I was like, okay. And then I ended up beating him.
Well,
Well, right. You don't have to tell you to be competitive.
I know.
This
Okay.
was the game that had the trampoline.
Yeah, in the
The
ground.
holes.
Yeah, and
on
it had
both sides.
So it had a trampoline. It was dug out in the ground. The trampoline's down on the ground, and then it had a mesh netting all the way up to the ceiling. And there were two, and they were by about like probably this far over. And the volleyball,
That deep.
you could jump up and stick it through and try to slam it down. And they had to catch it before it hit the ground to score. And they'd throw it through, and it'd hit the walls, and you try to catch it as you're going off your back and everything. And it was,
I spent hours at that with you.
yeah, it was pretty
Hours.
fun. It was
and
pretty
hours.
fun.
And you got a great workout.
Oh, yeah.
It was a hell of a workout and competitive. Because
Yeah.
you get out of that, and then it'd be like tournaments we put on, I remember. Kind of like just
was pretty
informal
cool.
little, who's the master, Duke, always cheated.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. It was fun.
Spent the day with,
Had
Steve.
the bumper boats back then too, I think.
Well, we were going to get him on the bumper boats, and then Manu's like going, you really? I remember him, I'll never forget this. He's like, you really think I could sit on one of those bumper boats? I'm 380 pounds or whatever. And I go, well, we'll tie two of them or three of them together.
Or go kart. Yeah.
And
good times.
spent the day with Steve Largent and his family. That was pretty cool. He met my brother at Cheney football camp, and so he wanted to go hunting with me, my dad, and Dave, go bird hunting, and we never could arrange that.
Right.
And I don't even know what age I was at the time, so I didn't know enough
So-
about Steve Largent at the time. But
I was wrong. Wasn't it
Well, I
Kenny?
mean, I knew-
Sorry to interrupt. Wasn't Kenny Easley the hitman?
Yeah.
That's
it
what I
was
was-
Kenny Easley. It was Kenny
Yeah.
Easley. Yeah.
Okay, I remember that.
He was
So-
also the ibuprofen man.
Okay.
My mom was a huge Steve Largent fan, huge Seahawks. I mean, you're in a room and she'll scream and scare you. She's a huge Seahawks fan, anyways. Steve Largent, she loves Steve Largent. So she got into sending, I don't know how, from that camp, his wife sent us a Christmas card. And so my mom started sending the Largents, and they went back and forth for many years. So we have some Christmas cards from the Largents.
Nice.
And the funny thing is, one of them, when he had a Nike, one of their Christmas cards, and it was cool. I'd never forget this. They had all Nike gear on, everything. Well, then the next year he wasn't getting sponsored, so they just wore plain gray and nothing. And it was just kind of a funny,
The
So
anti-sponsor.
Who do you want on
but
that
he
shirt?
called us one time. He goes, "Hey, we're gonna come over and spend the day with you guys." We're like, Okay, what do you want to do? Well, we'd like to go pick some apples. I'm like, what? Pick some apples?
We talk about this.
Yeah.
We take it for granted because we live here.
I know. So we got a hold of Scott Davis, and when Scott was alive, of course, and then Scott was, he said, yeah, bring him on down. And so they had their little rented minivan or whatever, and they pull in, and he showed them how to pick the proper way, and they had their,
Little picker
their
bags
picker
on.
bags and everything, and they were filling them up, and they took a bunch of boxes back, and then Dad worked at the fish hatchery, and they wanted to go see that and let the kids just love feeding the fish, so it was just something they don't do, I guess, and so.
Yes.
And then I remember I was quizzing him about Bosworth, Brian Bosworth, trying to find out any
yeah,
information I could.
44 blue.
#1 draft pick.
I go, is he really like that? Oh yeah, we kind of get him to be like that. We kind of,
Brandon.
but
I love him. Land
anyways,
of Boz.
Your dad worked at the fish hatchery a long time.
yeah, like 31 years, I think.
And when did he pass away? What year was that?
Oh boy, you would have had to ask me that.
Was it 5 years?
No, it's been longer than that. It's probably been.
My dad was
It's probably
2020.
been 10 years.
10 years.
Probably.
Yeah.
What do you do at the fish hatchery for a job? I don't know. Like count
So-
fish or
No, usually the counting fish is up at the
fish and wildlife?
at the
people?
wells or at the dam where they're going through the fish counters or watch the person's
Okay.
making a lot of money going.
Yeah.
1, 2.
Hey, I'll take over.
Yeah,
I'll
but
take
like,
over.
what did your dad do?
Tap me in.
Yeah.
They took care of the fish, so they fed. They had a truck that they would feed out by the ponds, and then they would have to feed by hand all the raceways, and then they had small stock, and then during the season when they were taking like salmon eggs, like the salmon are getting ready to spawn, and they do I don't know all their stuff, but they would cut them open, and they would get all the eggs from them, and then they would, the eggs would go inside, and then they would hatch all the little fish, and they would send them to different fish hatcheries, and then they would plant them. They also had trucks when they'd have to plant
Like in different little lakes?
different
and
lakes
rivers
and stuff, yeah.
Oh.
And so they'd go plant those. So I used to go with Dad a lot on a lot of those missions.
So you knew what lakes were good fishing. Yeah, a little inside
Those
info.
were a lot. Well, I might have a little bit of inside info, but there were a lot of little fish that they were planting in those lakes and stuff. But did that a lot. We used to be able to it was fun because we used to be able to shoot ducks out on the ponds out there. They'd have the fish ducks, and they didn't like them out there. And they used to the feds would hire somebody, but they'd get paid, and we'd shoot more than he would. And we'd go out on the weekends, and I could shoot ducks all day and stuff out there. It was the
So you
fish
hated
ducks
that.
and stuff. That was kind of fun. So, but I spent a lot of days. I went to work
Shotgun.
with Dad a lot. So, and then he got cancer, and we dealt with it for a long time.
Was it?
Kind of lost down here. They basically said there was nothing else they could do from his chemo treatment here, and they said they had some treatment that's been doing pretty good for leukemia over at Seattle Cancer Care Alliance, and so they've had good results. So we went over there, and when you're going through cancer for so long, you don't really feel like it's just kind of, I kind of look back on it, I feel like it was just prolonging his life, getting
Yeah.
the chemo
In
and stuff.
a not great way.
But you don't know in the time.
Exactly.
Because there's a lot of stories that you make.
I got to spend a lot more time with him.
Good. That's really
Yeah,
good.
it was
But
pretty
it
hard.
it makes me understand why people stop.
Yeah.
Like they'll hit a point and it's like,
I think until you have somebody
Enough.
that's close to you. I mean, we all knew friends. I think we all knew friends that had cancer, and then growing up, and then all the people that died from unknown causes. I'm sure some of that probably was cancer, but
Yeah.
we knew a lot of people growing up until you have a loved one, that has cancer, and then it really hits home. And now I see somebody's loved one that has, and it just breaks my heart.
Me
'cause
too.
It's just like,
I dealt with it.
kills me
Devastating.
inside.
Both my
Yeah.
parents had dementia, so that was something you heard, like you say, I heard about dementia, but then when you're living with it and you see it progress,
Yeah.
it's such a unique thing, just like cancer. It's such a unique thing to that individual. There's not a lot of easy answers because everybody's so different. And some last a
Right.
long time before they lights out. Like I have friends that parents are in facilities that are just gone.
But
And they're
remember
just still
when-
alive though, but
when
they're like,
Jack Kevorkian was like
yeah.
primetime news. I
Yeah.
thought, oh my God, who would ever do that?
assisted suicide.
And then now,
It's
being
tough.
on the other side of it, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
when you're that miserable, I have a newfound respect.
My dad
for
was
people.
pissed because I wouldn't take him out on a horse and put him up in the hills and slap its ass and not come looking for him.
Yeah.
Because that's what I promised him I'd do the whole time. He said, if I ever lose my mind, you just take me up on a horse. And now I go, then it happens, and I go, Dad, they call that murder. Like, I can't do that. Oh, bullshit, you can do that. Get me out of
Yeah.
here. I'm like, sorry.
Yeah.
Doesn't work that way.
I remember Dad could only walk about a couple hundred yards up at the cabin when it was getting towards the end, and we took him up hunting and stuff, and just.
Yeah, you have a cabin. Where's it? Is it you still have that
It's a
cabin?
family cabin up at Crawfish Lake.
Yeah, I
yeah.
remember
It's my
that.
uncle's cabin.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we'd take him up there and try to go hunting and stuff, and it was just, he would have to go back and take a nap, and then he wouldn't make it very far, and so.
I bet those memories are special for him, though, in that time of reflection. And, nobody's getting out of this alive. So, I bet that meant a lot to him that you spent so much time.
Yeah, Dave and I mean, it's, I don't know, you almost feel selfish because you keep them, you feel like, I don't know. Was the pain so bad to where
Yeah.
his quality of life just wasn't.
Did you get to
great,
hospice?
I think.
I thought hospice was the best.
Yeah, hospice was right at the end, probably, I can't remember if it was like 2 weeks or something, hospice
Yeah.
at the house, and he passed at the house right in front of us.
People I worked with both my mom and dad, that was the best government program I've ever been a part of. Those people that we had one person we had to fire. The girl actually said, my job's not to sit here and watch your dad die, or something like that. I was like, my wife went, just about killed her. She was fired, but other than that, everybody else was very, very cool, very polite.
My
and,
mom even refused hospice.
Wow, that's
She
tough.
wanted no care. So that's a lot of pain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
tough.
remember a call I went to on Chelan. A lady had just passed, and so I was going out. We have to investigate every call, of course, and so I show up at 8 in the morning or whatever, and hospice was pulling in right next to me, and I'm like, who are you guys? And they go, oh, we're hospice. And I go,
A little late now.
and they go, well, we were supposed to, they thought they were just getting ready to sign her up or something, and she was supposed to live like, they thought 3 more months or whatever. Anyways.
Oh.
And so I remember going in the living room, and she's still laying on the bed in the living room, and there's like 20 family members around. Everybody's crying. I'm like, kind of triggered, we were talking about that trigger things, trigger stuff. So it really triggered my dad, and I started tearing up a little bit, and I go, this is killing me. And one of the daughters came up to me and hugged me and said, you've been through this before, haven't you? And I said, yeah, I'm so sorry. I go, this is, and I tried talking to her as much as I could, and so, yeah, she, they just didn't realize it was going to happen so fast and stuff, so, but,
Boy.
man, yeah.
Yeah. Don't even get me. I'm already tearing up.
Yeah.
You just relive it every time you talk about it. I feel
Yeah.
like.
And the calls, like I said earlier when we were talking about the calls we go to, there was a series of events that still haunt me to this day, and it was basically, with sowls, and then the next day I deal with another suicide, 21-year-old, and I'm still working. I don't know why I was still working at the time. Should have
Jeez.
been off, and then I deal with a nasty domestic, which I could have got hurt because I wasn't in the right mind. And then I deal with the one that sent me over to was another one, because back then we used to just pretty much kick a door in and we'd go in on a suicide. Well, it's not a crime to commit suicide. So now we've realized and it got to the point where it was, some of them were shooting police and then they'd shoot themselves. And so we don't go into those anymore, but I don't know how many times over our career that I've stopped people from committing suicide. But this one I go in and it was just like the next day, I just dealt with the 21-year-old who commits suicide, and then I go to this house, or this house, and the lady has a note for her kids, and she's gonna take some pills or something. And so I hit a limit that I just had never hit before, and I'll never forget. And this is, it was 22 years ago for Saul. And so anyways, I sit down on the bed next to her, and I go, I got to tell you something. What just happened to me? So I just unloaded. I couldn't handle it anymore. I tried to talk her into going with the ambulance, and she wouldn't go. And so I told her what I'd just been through, and she gets up and gives me a hug and goes, I'll go on the ambulance. And I was like,
There
and I
you
said,
go.
I don't know you. I go, but this is going to affect me if I leave here and you hurt yourself. I don't know who you are. And so she went on the ambulance, and then I just remember I called out of service. I called dispatch. She said, I'm off duty. And they're
Yeah.
like, what? And supervisors are calling me, and I said, I'm done. I go, I can't. I go, it's not safe. I shouldn't even be out here. I go, I'm not thinking straight. I go, it was just, so.
Oh, good for you. in that
Yeah,
moment.
it was, I don't know.
That's hard to do.
And I think our emergency services, like I said, they don't get enough credit for the stuff that they see and they do. And you know, it's law enforcement. Yeah, I mean, you can badmouth us all you want until you call 911, then you want us to help. So, you know, then that's a different story.
It is nice to hear that some of the laws and some of the ideology is swinging back, you know, kind of went to the extreme,
yeah.
you know, so.
Do you got any, like, what are your high point moments, though, from your career? Like,
Probably school resource officer was one of them.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed working with the kids, and I think some kids that have reached back out to me, I think has meant a lot. So one of them even wrote a letter, pretty significant letter. It was pretty cool. It got put in my file because reached back years after and how I helped that person make it through a certain situation, and pretty cool. Get teachers to call me
I
once in a
love it.
while. I loved working in the school. I just love working with the kids. I mean, I coached kids I coached select softball for 10 years, and then I coached basketball and baseball, and so all my kids growing up and other kids, and so I coached, you know, varsity softball for a while, a couple years at Cashmere, and it's just, I don't know, it's just, I think the SRO thing, the school resource officer thing, working with the kids, I kind of had just my way of doing things, because there'd be kids like at Chelan school, we kind of separate. We ended up doing Chelan and Manson, which it's really hard to do two schools part-time, because you can't put you need to really get to know these kids. And so I was told that you need to really stay at one school and get to know them from like 8th grade all the way till they graduate, and you get to know them and their families. And when you start seeing some of the stuff that they're dealing with in their home life,
right.
boy, it takes a whole nother outlook. This kid needs a little extra attention. I'm going to be his friend, need to talk to him, whatever. But Chelan and Manson, I don't know, it's just, I really enjoyed, you know, both schools, but just trying to help the kids and stuff. It was just.
Well, for every letter you got, there's probably 100 other kids you touched.
So I have a fun.
Oh, just a sec. Where I was going to go with that, I forgot. So the kids wearing the hoodies. That was the thing I was going to go with. I drew blank for a second. So anyways, they'd always get in trouble. And the kids always wearing the hoods, you know. And you couldn't wear those in school. And so they'd always have to go sit for like a whole class outside the principal's office. And I'm like, what a waste of time. I go, that's something like I would have done back in school. I go, just to get out of class. You know, and so,
Right.
So it got to be like a game with Deputy Duke. It was like, I'd yell down the hallway, they'd look at me, and I'd go and give them 10, and they'd drop and give me 10 push-ups. And that's just kind of how we did it. And so it was kind of fun because it actually worked, and it actually, you know, some of the teachers kind of liked it, and the kids kind of liked it. And then I get one kid that said, I don't have to do that. I go, no, you don't have to do that. I can't make anybody do this. I go, but it's kind of a game we have when you push the line. I go, it's better than doing this and getting it over with, and you know, and then or sitting outside of the principal's office. And I used to do it with Rob Huddleston's daughter, their basketball team, and they'd come up, and so she'd ask. I go, you guys want to do a question for push-ups today? And they're like, yeah. So I'd always ask, because she was a little hunter and fisherman, so I'd always ask her. Like,
Hunting question.
yeah, what's a baby goat called? Or what's a female goat called? Or I'd just do something off the wall because I knew I was going to give them 10 push-ups. And I did that with their team one day. There was like 3 or 4 of them. And so these girls are doing 10 push-ups. And this family's getting introduced to Chelan and getting a tour of the school. And they come around the corner and there's a deputy standing over them. I got 3 girls doing push-ups. They're going, what's this? I go,
This is
well,
military school.
let me explain first.
Yeah, it's West Point.
And then actually the dad goes, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Actually,
right.
I go, they don't have to do it. I go, they agree
Yeah, I'm
to
not
it.
forcing them.
They come up to me because they think it's fun, because together they want to try to see if they can answer a question.
Right.
They don't, they'd have to do push-ups. But just kind of having that with the kids, you know, and then there were some teachers, you know, Joni Bankson, recently retired, you know, and she had a little get together. And one thing, like her, I love that lady. She just, kids, to me, I told her one time, I said, you're like another counselor in the school. Kids can confide in you in anything. Yeah. You need to decide if it's, you need to take it to the next level and take it to the counselor, or if you can resolve the issue. So just it was neat to see kids would want to go in and have lunch with that teacher. And I thought that was really cool, because you kind of gravitate towards the way some of those teachers teach. And I wasn't the best student, but when I was in there as a deputy, I just liked the way she taught and the way she talked to kids and the way she treated kids. Yeah. And so I'd go into her class a lot, and I'd be in her class, and then of course she'd make me read, and you know,
do your thing.
My reading skills from Chelan High School probably weren't the best, but anyways, no. So I'd go in and read, and then, you know, she'd have me do projects with them, and then it was pretty cool. But
did you work with Sarge when he was?
Oh yeah, I'd go into his classroom too.
Yeah,
love Sarge.
He was one of my best friends, and he was that kind of guy between being a football coach and then he'd be like.
So he was right across from Bankson, so I basically would Bankson, and then I'd go over to Sarge's class. Yeah. I'd sit in the back, and he'd just start laughing. Dukes, what's going on? Yeah. And then
he got pretty fed up with it at the end, kind of like you're saying with the politics and the rules, and then tying your hands, and you know, he got that way, and I think a lot of teachers are getting that way, where they're just kind of like, I can't operate on, you know, I can't do anything. But he was one of those guys that, I mean, I spent a lot of time with him, and kids would just constantly be reaching back out to him.
Oh, he was great. Him and Bankson were just great people. I mean, they really were. And have them across the room, they'd yell at each other just as joking, you know.
He's cool.
You could tell that, he was awesome. He was awesome.
He married my wife and I, you know, did the officiant work, and his son's going to marry my son on the 6th of September.
That's so cool.
Oh, really?
So that's pretty neat, yeah. Ryan's going to marry Mason.
Okay, so I have a story. My Sean Duke resource officer.
Is it a PG-13 story? Or?
Yeah.
That's not fun.
When I had my store, in Chelan, one time, one of my workers hadn't locked the door at night when they left. So these 3 young girls, probably 14-ish years old, came by, and door was open, store's closed, it's night, you know.
Free clothing today.
Yeah, well, they each took a bathing suit.
Oh, yeah. What are you gonna
and went home. And then, I don't know if people know this, but Chelan County deputies walk around and do door checks around town and stuff. And saw that Carlos saw it was open, and I lived down the street, and next thing you know, I'm there locking the door, and there's some stuff missing. Well, one of the girls had a real guilty conscience, and she was crying and all upset one night, and ended up telling her folks what happened. Good for her. And so they came in, Hispanic family, parents didn't speak great English, so she's like translating a little bit for all of us, and the dad wants to pay me, and I'm not going to take your money, but how about we maybe just, I'm going to, the suits are going to come back, and I'm going to resell them, and I don't want your hard-earned money, but why don't we come up with a way for these girls to work it off, the value anyway, you know? So I called Duke, and I said, can you come and meet with these girls and put the fear of God in them a little bit? You know, I mean, I'm not going to do anything, right? But just, will you, on your own time, you know, can you come talk to them? And so we lined him up on the bench outside, and he came and had a nice,
give me 10 push-ups,
Duke style talk with them. And I know I appreciated it. I know their folks appreciated it. And I'd like to believe that it made an impact, you know, that they're going to make better choices in the future. But that just circles back to me being a friend of yours and knowing that I can ask you for something like that and you're going to respond. And that's huge value.
Yeah, we had I appreciate that. There was something that I really remember, that there was some teachers came to me, and so I do this, we do critical incident stress management, where we kind of go through, like you go to an incident, and then we bring everybody in at a certain period, and they kind of go back through the incident. What did you do when you arrived? How did you hear about it? What did you do when you arrived? All the way around, and it kind of clears up kind of what happened with the incident. And talking about critical incidents is a type of healing. You know, the more you talk about it. If you hold it in, it can really kind of affect you. So we had 3 girls. There was a girl that was killed in a car accident one year. And didn't think really anything of it. And then it was during the summer. And then, because it was at nighttime, so I was a day shift person. I just didn't know enough. I guess the school came around, didn't really think about it. Anyways, the 3 or 4 girls, I can't remember, were having a tough time in school. And they were, a couple of them were straight A students, and teachers were starting to be worried. And a couple of them came to me and talked to me, the teachers, and I said, well, so I had to go to counsel. That's more of a counselor thing. And I said, this is what we can do. I would love to do type of a debrief with them if we could. I'd like to try it. I never really did it before, but I think it, you know, I did it with law enforcement, but not, you know, with kids and stuff. And so we had to get a mental health person there with us, and I just told them what I was going to be doing. They said, yeah, they're good with it. Brought them in, and man, Hispanic girls, they did not want to talk about anything. And so I opened up with Saul and the incident that I had been through and what kind of led up with it. So I was kind of vulnerable and kind of just told me, you know, the stuff that I've been through. And then I got them to open up, and they went around the room and they talked about that night. And the one girl wasn't there, but she felt the grief for her friends. And so her grades were failing. Another one gave up her seat to the person that died in the car crash.
So guilt.
The other ones were following behind the car when it crashed, and they went out and found her. She got thrown out of the car. Not a dry eye in that room. I mean, myself. It was crazy. And so about 2 or 3 weeks come by, and these Hispanic girls, each one of them gave me a hug. And I was just like, they said thank you. They really needed that. So that was a huge thing and the cool thing about it is they started their own little group the next year, and there was a dad of a kid that committed suicide, and they did their own little group and pulled him in and kind of did a little debrief with him. I was like, dude, that's awesome. Good for you guys.
That's so cool.
So yeah, I didn't know it was going to have an impact like that, but it was pretty cool. And Dr. Kishel out of Spokane, she's the one that teaches a lot of this critical incident stress management, peer support training that I've been through and all this. And so she comes over and works with us, like the Travis Decker thing. She came over and worked with us on that stuff. And then, and she's been awesome. And I remember her calling me, or I saw her at a training, and they had that shooting a long time ago at Freeman High School in Spokane. And she goes, oh man, you were a school resource officer. I wish I would have called you to come help me talk with the kids. And I go, you'd have called me? And she goes, oh yeah. And I go, well, the sheriff probably would have let me if it would have came from you. But anyways, I thought that was kind of cool. But because I told her that story, and she just like, she gives me a big hug. And she goes, that's awesome. I go, it was pretty special to see what these girls did the next year.
Yeah.
But to get them to open up, to maybe help them start with a little bit of healing process was pretty special. Well, it sounds to me like, Duke, you're pretty passionate about helping people. You always have been. Maybe this is something that you do next. You get in that world and start helping people. Maybe that helps you too. Yeah, you're a natural at it. I mean, that's the gift that you've been given and you've earned through blood and sweat and tears. So you never know, my friend. You never know. It's hard dealing with so many critical incidents. You can only handle so many of them.
I was going to say, or let the pendulum swing the other way and like give yourself a big old rest and enjoy.
Or little kids, like the little kid stuff. Future. That's a little different work, but social work is social work. There's all kinds of it, but I think you're just kind of getting warmed up.
I always throw it out there for people. I mean, just if I can, from some of the experiences that I went through and stuff in law enforcement and stuff, just if I can help them, Well,
turn it into a game like you did. You're just a natural at that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think
if it's
so
ever
too.
Anything you ever want to do and anything we can help, I love you as a friend, and I appreciate you as a soldier, and I appreciate you as a law enforcement and all the brothers that you have served with. But just want to say thanks, and I appreciate you coming today.
I mean, gosh, I have been riding you and riding you and riding you.
When she first sent that to me, I went, oh, what kind of questions is she going to ask?
Oh, come on.
I remember one of the first times I went out riding with her on her, because I was a stand-up jet ski guy. She had these fast sit-down ones.
Like crotch rocket style.
They were fast. Back in the day, they were fast.
Yeah.
And I remember, I didn't think you had much brakes on the water, and I hit the wrong one or something. And I was flying, and I hit it, and let's say this area right through here hit the steering wheel, and I went up over the hood and rolled down on the water.
It was like
I crashed harder on the sit-down one I ever did on a stand-up one.
It was like
underestimate it.
Duke,
Oh,
is
wow.
he gonna pop up? Duke,
Oh wow!
Yeah,
can you breathe?
Like I know. Holy smokes!
good times.
Yeah.
So many good times. So many good
All right,
times.
we've been talking about an hour and a half, guys.
Wow.
That's what we
It
do.
flies by, doesn't it?
That's what
You're
we do.
nervous now?
Well, thank you.
No, I appreciate it.
We do too.
Yeah.
We
All right.
do too.
Signing off one more time.
Thank you,
Small
Duke.
Towns Unscripted.
Thanks.
XOXO.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Bada bing.